Alright, people, review of the week time. So, not a great deal really to review. This weekend has been particularly quiet for boxing. I know Bradley Ray returned to the ring last night. I was watching a couple of those fights on Boxing News last night. Callum Eubank and Cyrus Patterson. He was with Matchroom for a while. Like, he fought on a good few matches. I think he fought all of his pro fights up until now, maybe with the exception of one or so. On Matchroom shows, he was on a Wasserman show, I believe. It's the Channel 5, obviously it is because everyone's on Channel 5. Both picked up the wins. Now, again, there wasn't a great deal of action this weekend, so there's not a crazy amount to review. So it's mainly going to be looking over news, and I will probably, well, I will because I have it actually open already, will preview this coming weekend's fight, which is obviously Sonny Edwards versus Galal Yafai. That's a really good domestic scrap that's happening up in Birmingham. I think that fight, the main event, and the card is getting bigger and bigger. You know, I think when it was originally announced, obviously when it was originally announced, you're not going to get many fights on the card. As it, progresses, time comes, more fights come on it. It's not looking actually a bad undercard, to be fair. So we'll talk a little bit about that. I want to start with this one. Matchroom have just, earlier today, 10 a.m. this morning, announcement tomorrow, 10 a.m. The Glory Days are returning, which is an okay. It's not really elaborated what it is. I really don't know, to be honest with you, but so we should have an announcement from Matchroom tomorrow on something. It's going to be an interesting one. In terms of this weekend, now they definitely, and it's been a complaint that I've had about them this year, is when they've worked with the Saudis to do, and some of their American shows have been very, very good. When they've worked with the Saudis and they've done their American shows, they've been particularly good. But a lot of the UK shows, it's the main event and that's it, is what you're turning in for. And they haven't done, like Matchroom, I know obviously Eddie Hearn talks about it, that he's more global now, but I still think your bread and butter is still going to be the UK shows. They've been few and far between this year, and when they have been on, again, you're really tuning in for the main event. Now, I know in most cases that is what you're going to be tuning in for, but Matchroom always did some good undercard fights. They always had good undercard fights, and this year has been, not amazing. Now, this weekend show, which is going to be up in Birmingham, it's got some good fights on it, I'm not going to lie. It has some interesting scraps. Callum Smith, it's a very low-key return, isn't it? Callum Smith is returning to the ring. This will be his first fight after his comprehensive defeat at the hands of Artur Beterbiev back in January. So, been out of the ring for a while. Callum Smith, look, I'm not going to imagine he's going to be in there with anybody good. I would imagine this is a confidence rebuilder because he did lose to Canelo. He was quite negative in that fight, but he managed to see the fight out, go the distance with Canelo a couple of years ago, 4 years ago now, I think it was. Against Beterbiev, he was never really in that fight. He got battered from pillar to post. So, Callum Smith, I genuinely did think that would probably be him, maybe 1 foot out the door at that stage. Listen, I'm not complaining that he's coming back because I think he adds a lot to the domestic scene at light heavyweight. In terms of him being up at the top level, wouldn't pick him against Bivol, wouldn't pick him against Beterbiev, to be honest with you, but I wouldn't pick any of the guys below them over those guys. They're in a league of their own, right? At domestic level, Callum Smith, there's fights there for him. Look, I want to see Yard versus Boazzi more than the next guy. I love that fight. I think it's a great fight. I'm not going to point the finger at blame Boazzi because it doesn't seem like, I don't know what's going on with Team Yard. It's just been, you rack your brain trying to figure out what's going on with Team Yard. Going from Queensbury to Boxer to fighting, it just, I don't know. Boazzi versus Smith is a good fight. Hutchinson versus Smith is a good fight. Yard versus Smith, again, they're all good fights. There's good fights there for Callum Smith at domestic level. And the domestic level scene, because the light heavyweight division is so thin on the ground, the domestic scene at light heavyweight, you pretty much win a domestic clash. You're pretty much how do you say the word? It's on the tip of my tongue, but you know what I mean. Catapulting yourself, captivating, I was always going to say, catapulting yourself onto world level. So Callum Smith, that's going to be an interesting comeback. Look, I'm not envisioning any miracles or anything like that. They're not going to get a particularly good opponent on short notice, you would imagine. But it'd be interesting to see what he's like. Will he be a bit more gun shy now that he's been stopped? Let's wait and see. Conan Walker versus Lewis Ritson, that should be a good look. I think Ritson, Jesus, do you remember they had a nickname for him? What was it? Was it like the Sunderland Golovkin or something they had back in the day when he was having that tear at domestic level? down at 135 pounds and came up short at European level. And since then, his career has been, every time he stepped up, he's lost. He lost to O'Hara Davis last year. He's lost, I think he lost to Paddy Donovan, didn't he? He was stopped by Paddy Donovan, both in the 9th round. He's coming off 2 back-to-back stoppers. I'm not imagining much from Lewis Whitson. Cameron Vegel, I always butcher his name, but he's in there against Gavin Gwynn. Gavin Gwynn, wasn't he stopped in a couple of rounds, by Mark Chamberlain? I think that was on the undercard of Joshua versus Ngannou. He took a fair old beating in that fight. Kieran Conway versus Ryan Kelly. I always like watching Kieran Conway. He's not the biggest puncher in the world, certainly not, but he is an interesting fighter. He is fun to watch, so we'll keep an eye on that one. And then obviously in the main event, Sonny Edwards, Galal Yafai. Yeah, Galal Yafai, Olympic gold medalist. I haven't been mad impressed with him as a pro, to be honest with you. Now, look, he's good. I'm not going to turn around and say he's not good. He definitely is good, but have I been mad impressed? No, I haven't said that. Him against Edwards, I'm slightly leaning towards Sonny Edwards to win this fight on points. I am. I think Sonny Edwards may just scrape it. But saying that, I was leaning for Sonny Edwards to win this fight, or leaning towards him to win this fight when I thought he was still with Grant Smith. He's with a new trainer now, and I thought the Grant Smith-Sonny Edwards combination worked very well. Yeah, he lost to Bam Rodriguez. Who hasn't? Everyone he's fought has lost to Bam Rodriguez. He took a beating. Yeah, he couldn't really impose himself. But look, it happens. No shame losing to Bam Rodriguez. And, some of his other performances. Sonny Edwards is an interesting one because there's moments in fights where he looks just elite. The movement, everything, the counter punch and everything, he just looks so good. And then he just fades. He lets his opponent back in. He lies on the ropes and he makes a fight closer than he needs to do. I don't think he can't afford to do that against Galal Yafai. I don't think. Galal Yafai, again, look, I've watched them. I haven't been, mega impressed. If he gets through Sonny Edwards, obviously he's interim WBC champion. It's catapulting them to world level. Got it out this time. It's catapulting them to world level. And yeah, it should be a good win. I'm looking forward to this scrap. I think it's going to be fun. I'm edging Sonny Edwards to win this fight. I am favouring him to win this fight. Also with Matchroom, George Kambosos has signed a co-promotional deal with Matchroom and Eddie Hearn to work alongside Ferocious Promotions and Lou DiBella. Yeah, they were teasing a undisputed champion signing with Matchroom, and his name didn't come into my mind because okay, yeah, you could say he was undisputed champion, but do you remember when he won it off Teofimo Lopez? They had that ridiculous WBC kind of 2-tier system of champion where they had the regular and it was the franchise title. Do you remember that? They brought that in 2019. They don't do it now, thank God. But that kind of meant there was kind of a grey area where you're undisputed, where you're not, this, that, and the other. Look, I would consider George Kambosos undisputed. I would. I just would. So fair enough. But you don't think about that because it's not really something that's at the forefront of your mind. Listen, him signing with Eddie Hearn, they're definitely going to do some dates. I think they will look to match him with Liam Parrow if he's moving up to 140 pounds, because that's an all-Australian affair. Can do it in Australia, pack out places. Liam Parrow, he's got his hands full because he's actually defending his title. It's not this weekend, it's next weekend against Richard Hitchens. So that's going to be, an interesting fight itself. But Kambosos was brilliant 3 years ago against Teofimo Lopez. That was a great fight. I stayed up for that fight. It was worth staying up for. It was so enjoyable. It was so much fun to watch. It was great. Kambosos had some kind of, shaky performances earlier on in his career. I thought the Lee Selby performance, although it was a split decision, I couldn't believe it was a split decision. It was one of those fights where you're like, what were you guys watching? That was a clear win for Kambosos. But he never really set the world alight. Then he did that against Teofimo, and although he was down and, Teofimo had health issues in that fight, by all accounts quite serious ones, nevertheless he was still able to do very well, perform very well, got the win. He's just never really been able to follow it up. Back-to-back defeats to Devin Haney, goes in there against Maxi Hughes, and for my money Maxi Hughes beat him. He got the win, faced Lomachenko for the IBF, I think that was for a vacant title, and he got beaten to smithereens, blown smithereens by Lomachenko. He's not looked amazing the last couple of fights, it has to be said. So how much life is really left in Kambosos? Well, let's wait and see. Teofimo Lopez, speaking of Teofimo Lopez, has now officially appointed Eddie Reynoso as a trainer alongside him and his father. Well, in one sense, I'm thinking that's a good move, but listen, his dad has a bit too much to say. Like, I mean, could we see clashes between those two, Lopez Sr. and Eddie Reynoso in the corner? He needs Eddie Reynoso because Lopez Sr. is just, yeah, you know, yeah, that's all I got to say on that one. So, alright, so I was seeing, they have an image here on Twitter of Tyson Fury, of Tyson Fury sparring Kevin Durant. I'm going to talk about that now in a sec. But we had the face-off. They released the TNT. Steve Bunce was doing the face-off with Tyson Fury and Oleksandr Usyk. A new format, one that I think actually worked quite well. I think that for rematches, that really is something that we probably, I wouldn't mind seeing it. I mean, I'm not suggesting they should do a Dubois Joshua rematch anytime soon, but if they did do that, I actually think that would work out quite well. Doing like a face-off, you know, Ade or whoever in the middle, Joshua Dubois. I'm just using this as an analogy, and then them watching the fight. You know, it would pretty much be Joshua getting dropped the whole time because pretty much most of what happened in the nicest way. But it was interesting, and I quite liked it. I really did. Fury said that, you know, he's not going to change up things, and you could tell this was when they did the original kickoff press conference back in October. At that press conference, Spencer Brown said that Fury would be coming in heavier for this fight. He made no, you know, ifs or buts. It was, yeah, he's coming in heavier. Now, Fury wanting to fight a back foot game against Oleksandr Usyk, well, it didn't work first time around. And he was in the low 260s, lightest weight he'd been since 2019. It didn't work. Now, you come in, say, a stone a bit heavier, let's say maybe 20 pounds heavier, God forbid, but just hypothetically say that. Is that going to make back foot boxing any easier? No, it's going to be a bit harder because he's not going to have the legs. His legs are going to be slower, he's going to be a bit more sluggish. He might retain a little bit more strength, potentially, yeah, because there is the possibility that maybe Tyson Fury did overdo it, he did overtrain, because they were talking so much about him being the lightest he's been since Klitschko and this, that, and the other, making a big emphasis on Fury coming in a lot lighter than he had been in the past. Now, I remember John Fury at the time, back in 2019, when they were trying to get Fury's weight down, and you gotta remember this was after he had come back from all his issues, he lost an enormous amount of weight, and against Otto Berlin, he was in the 250s, so he wasn't, it was in the high 250s as far as I believe, but they were trying to get his weight down, and it became apparent John Fury straight away, because, you know, John Fury, for all his flaws, he does have a good boxing brain when he wants to use it, and he was looking and saying, no, Tyson's too weak. He was completely right. They packed on weight. They found, I believe, a happy medium in the low 270s, kind of high 260s, low 270s. I think that's the perfect weight for Tyson Fury, because you get enough strength, but you're not really sluggish, but you're not going to be weak either. I think that's a perfect weight. They stuck at that. He looked brilliant against Wilder. Then it kind of went up and up and up, and then they brought it down. And I think they brought it down too quick. And I think that the people saying Fury wasn't in shape to Dominic Ingles, I would say that argument has no legs to stand on, personally. But I would say if you said he overtrained, I would say that argument, yeah, that probably does have some legs to stand on. I could easily see it. I could easily see that being the case. He took the weight off too quick, left him a bit drained. Definitely, you know, if you made that case, I would say, well, yeah, you know, I can see that. Not that he undertrained. I think that's, no. If he did, then why was he so light, you know? If he comes in heavy, really heavy, then I think he's making this fight easier for Oleksandr Usyk. But on the flip side, Oleksandr Usyk, you know, we talk about, and I've just done a video on it, we talk about the wear and tear for Tyson Fury. Oleksandr Usyk, 300 plus amateur fights. Been operating at world level for nearly a decade. Alright, he is now fighting a heavyweight where, although he is brilliant, and in my opinion the best heavyweight in the world, he's still fighting guys who are outweighing him by an enormous amount. And, you know, physically, what he's doing in these fights is brilliant, but surely that's taking it out of him. These back-to-back hard training camps, the way he trains, he's very impactful. So, how much does actually Oleksandr Usyk have left in him? That is actually a very valid question to ask ahead of this rematch. And I think this makes this rematch all the more intriguing. Look, I pretty much nailed my colours to the mast after I seen the clip of Fury face planting the canvas or face planting the pavement in that bar, and then him giving those interviews saying, oh, I won, this, that, and the other. Because to me, that kind of said, right, well, you haven't learned anything. And, those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. You make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. Mistakes are just part of life. The good thing about mistakes is they teach you something. You learn from them, And Usyk made mistakes in the fight. Fury made mistakes. The good thing is you can learn from them. But if you don't learn from them, well, don't be surprised when you make those same mistakes again. And don't be surprised if they're even bigger mistakes this time. So with Tyson Fury, if he's not learning anything and he's saying he's going to do it the same, well, I'm pretty sure it's going to be repeat, even faster this time around. But Tyson Fury has proved me wrong before. I don't rule him out winning this fight. He certainly is good enough. He certainly has the ability to beat Oleksandr Usyk, definitely. And I think it's going to be interesting. In terms of him sparring Kevin Lerena, not really new there. He's had Kevin Lerena in before as a sparring partner. Kevin Lerena, similar dimension to Oleksandr. Nowhere near as good, obviously. But yeah, not too dissimilar. So that is actually a good sparring partner to have. He had a Teofimo in last time around. I know a Teofimo is on the undercard. We remember the Opetaia. Oh boy, we remember that. We all remember that was going on. That was an interesting one. Tony Bellew going at it with Jake Paul's MVP co-founder. Yeah, we don't need to talk too much about that. Misfits are running the show this week. Brilliant. Yeah, we really need to, so there's some real good boxing news right there. Daniel Dubois on calling out Jake Paul. If Jake wants it with me, he can get it. We messaged him, my dad, and everyone decided, let's call him out, even though it's just publicity. You never know what can happen in this sport. It's strange times. Mate, listen, I get the publicity, but don't even be entertaining this fight. You're heavyweight champion of the world. I get Tony Bellew, Carl Froch, Andre Ward, the people like that. I get that. They're retired, they want to cash in, It could be, you're a heavyweight champion of the world. You're actually younger than Jake Paul. Yeah, Daniel Dubois, you're actually younger than Jake Paul. Daniel Dubois is only 26. Just leave well enough alone. You don't need that. Focus on defending your title, because look, we're waiting on your opponent to be announced for February 22nd. I'm waiting to hear it, because I would imagine they'll look to do that press conference probably before Christmas. Wait and you see. I'll be back home in Dublin when they do that flipping press conference. I guarantee it. I guarantee they'll announce that press conference and I'll be back home in Dublin. Wait and you see. I've just had nothing but bad luck with getting the press conferences and moved over here. That's all going to change hopefully soon. But wait and you see. I guarantee you it'll be announced for a day when I'm back in Dublin. I guarantee it. Eddie Hearn said Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn talks have now restarted for the 88th time. Very hopeful a deal can be done. I think if everyone's sensible, proactive, and just party egos for the moment, then I think we can make this fight. I'm very hopeful. I'm just done with this Conor Benn Chris Eubank thing. It's just, I've never seen a fight that, look, at the time when it was announced, I was intrigued, and then it just, it's gone. And now it's just like, mate, let them get on with their careers. Chris Eubank Jr. has hardly any time left. Conor Benn, at welterweight, he should be, jumping, chopping at the bit, because the division is the weakest I've seen it in decades. He has a chance there against some of these champions, and he wants to do it now before some of the guys at 140 move up, because if they move up anytime soon, you ain't winning a title, So I don't know. Jay Opetaia will defend his cruiserweight title on January the 8th. January the 8th in Australia, against a guy who, forgive my ignorance, I can honestly say I've not seen. So I should have probably done this at the start, but I'll go and have a look at this guy's box rec. I hear he's old. I hear this guy he's fighting is quite old. 22-0, German based, from Istanbul originally, 39 years old. Not ideal. 22-0, 18 knockouts. When did he make his pro debut? Because I haven't heard of him. 2016, so he would have been in his early 30s. Okay. No real names on this resume in the nicest way that I recognize. I think I recognize this guy's name Vyacheslav Pejar. I think David Price might have fought him a couple of years ago. I think. Anyway, yeah, Craig Glover. That was on a Matchroom show. I think that might have been. No, I don't remember the show it was on, but I know it might have been Sam Egerton versus Liam Smith. I just remember that date. That date rings a bell in my mind. That might have been the one where Pricey got bit. Yeah, it was. That was some. That's some good memories right there. I remember that. You know how I remember Craig Glover, because Tony Bellew was managing him, and he was shouting instructions at ring. So yeah, Pricey knocked him out in 2 rounds. That was on the undercard of Bellew versus Macabu. That's the only. And this guy is a journeyman, by the way. He's 23 wins, 19 losses. But he's a big puncher, and he beat this guy on points. It's not actually like that guy's been stopped quite a. Actually, no, he hasn't. I thought he was stopped a bit more than that. But yeah, there's no real names on this guy's resume that I recognise. So let's see what he can do in there against Opetaia. I love watching Opetaia, as you know. I love watching him. So I'll be trying my best to tune in for that fight, 8th of January in Australia. Okay, it's a Wednesday now. This fight right here, which is being discussed but no announcement as of yet, but I would imagine we'll be getting an announcement soon enough. Derek Chisora versus Jarrell Big Farmer Miller on February the 8th in Manchester. Thoughts on that fight? Don't like it for Chisora. I like it as a fight. I think it's an entertaining fight, but as I said, you know, Chisora's speech is not sounding the best these days. A fight like that, Miller will never stop Chisora. He's not going to one punch knock him out or anything like that. So Chisora, say this is a 10 rounder. It's going to be a lot of punches thrown, a lot of punches landed. They're the fights that, you know, if you're on the cusp of CTE, that could just bring it on. And I've said this before about Chisora. I think he should have retired after the Joe Joyce win. I didn't expect him to beat him. To be honest with you, I really didn't. It surprised me in a good way. And I think that's a great way to bow out. I think it's a great way to bow out in the O2 Arena. He's fixated on having this final fight in his native Zimbabwe. I can't imagine they're going to, you know, do a big, probably be a big event, but I can't imagine it's going to be, you know, going out with, you know, fighting Joshua or something. I can't imagine it's going to be like that. So, look, I don't understand why you take a victory lap. You don't need to fight a Jarrell Miller. Just, what's wrong with, you know, going in there against somebody who you're going to beat and probably beat well, and you know, if you're going to have 2 more fights, just go out with 2 quite easy fights. This won't be an easy fight. I wouldn't be picking Chisora to win this fight either. I don't think the loss is not. He doesn't care at this point. He's 13 losses. He doesn't give a crap. But for his health, I'm not. I don't know. I'm not optimistic in that sense. I worry about Chisora's health. I really do. Because Chisora seems like a cool guy. I quite like him. And, you know, you don't want to see a fighter, and he's given me some very good nights. I've enjoyed watching Chisora through the years very much in the ring. And you just don't want to see a fighter who you like, you respect, you admire, yeah, with all the money in the world. But how good is all the money in the world if in 10 years' time, you know, that's just, it's no good, you know. The Dazn UK US pay-per-view price will be for Tyson Fury and Usyk will be £24.99. £24, £25 for us over here in the UK. I thought that would be a bit cheaper than that, to be honest with you. I get it because it's a big fight, but I did think they'd go a little bit lower. I knew it'd be pay-per-view, obviously. I did think that would be a little bit less. I did think it would be that, but there we go. Eddie Hearn has stated that he expects Joshua to return to the ring in either May or June of next year. They intend to wait and see what happens in the Fury versus Usyk rematch before making the decision on their next move. Well, wait and see what happens. You won't be fighting the winner. You don't deserve a crack at the winner. In spite of what... No. You got a world title shot. You lost comprehensively. Earn your next crack. Earn your next crack at a world title. You're not just going to jump the queue. No way. If Fury loses, because they're going to look at, they're going to target an Usyk trilogy fight. They're just not going to do that. They're going to target Fury. If he loses, go knock yourself out. Fight Fury. But if he wins, it would be... I'd watch it. I would. But again, if you get an immediate world title shot like that off the back of being obliterated, it's not like... Alright. Who was it? It was Chisora. So when Chisora lost to Robert Helenius, that was a robbery. right? We all know that. If you've seen the fight, it was a robbery, right? Chisora clearly won the fight. Vitaly Klitschko gave Chisora a crack off the back of that, and you wouldn't complain because he should have got the win. It was a controversial, very controversial decision. Something like that, understandable. Yeah, 100%. If the right guy didn't get his hand raised and another champion wants to give him an immediate crack, there's definitely an argument for that. Yeah, of course. You know, yeah, you're getting a world title shot off the back of a loss, but a very controversial loss that many people feel as though you won. Yeah, I can, 100%. I can understand that. Getting an immediate world title crack after being battered from pillar to post, dropped how many times? 3-4 times? Nah, man, nah. If he's not gonna fight the winner, if he's gonna just have a comeback fight in June, I mean, I guess we'll see how far gone he is, but I don't know. We had the press conference, Dave Morrell versus Dave Benavidez on February 1st. Benavidez looked very soft when they did the shirts off in that face-to-face, very soft. I look forward to that fight. I think it's going to be a good fight. I think it's going to be a great scrap. And I think I'm going to leave it there. I don't want this video to drag out too long. So people, as a proper review of the week, I went proper right the way through, all the way back. So hope you enjoyed it. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe, of course, if you guys haven't already. We're not far off 21k now, lads. We're not far off 21k. We're less than 100 off. We had a good week. 100 subs in a week. That was pretty good going. That's pretty good going. Shout out to everybody. If you could like, share, comment, all that good stuff. We're doing well. We're doing well. You know, I'm not one for I'm one for talking. I mean, I think anyone who knows me will know that. You know, I can go into a room with strangers and just start chatting with anybody. But, you know, I'm not one for sharing how thankful I am, and I really am. You know, starting this channel 5 years ago, 2019, thereabouts. 5 years ago, who would have thought that it would have me living in London? You know, mental. So thank you to everybody. I appreciate it so much. Smash the like button, all that good stuff. Thank you once again to everybody. Peace.